let's continue our program. And next up, I'd like to introduce Josh Vandera, who will be presenting Automating Your Circuit Maintenance Notifications. Josh is a managing consultant at Network to Code, and traveled from Minneapolis to join us today. This is the first time Josh is presenting at NADOC, and it's a pleasure to have him here to speak with us today. Welcome, Josh. The stage is yours.
Thank you. So first off, I want to thank the folks at NANOG for having this in beautiful California. As you mentioned, Minneapolis is where I call home. My wife told me it was 23 degrees in the morning yesterday morning, -5 Celsius. So I'm grateful to be here. So here to talk about circuit maintenances and how do we look at automating them. And that's a big part of everybody's environment that has a WAN. So first off, a quick introduction, why I'm here, what gives me some credibility to come talk here. I'm a managing consultant at Network to Code. I've been involved in network automation really continuously for the past 3 years in my time at NTC. But really started diving into automating networks 7 years ago. So before that, I worked in the retail environment, and retail, very large retail, having to do things on scale. Before automation, just doing a lot with cookie cutter environments. So I've been doing networking for over 20 years now. And then I've also an author of the open source network management book that you can out there. So the agenda, I want to talk about what the problem is. How do we look at automating the maintenances and make your life better? We'll go into a demo, and then we'll talk about the libraries that were used within this. And I do want to call out everything here that will be talked about is open source. So there's nothing proprietary, nothing about it that you have to pay money other than just a little bit of time investment to use the open source. So the current process for circuit maintenances from an enterprise perspective, this is just a generalization. It may not apply directly to you. You might have some better processes than this, but it's kind of what's been out there. So it's very manual oftentimes. Up on the upper left, we've got the provider. It's in blue that says, hey, okay, we need to take maintenance on our circuit, and then we're going to go ahead and schedule that circuit maintenance. We'll send an email to all the people that are impacted. And then in gray, over a very manual process, nothing with automation. The email comes in, it sits in the inbox, it's sitting there. Maybe there's some searches in the inbox to see your primary, the important circuits. If they're going to be taking a maintenance, you want to be aware of that. But they just sit there. As it goes, then it comes to the day of the event, the NOC gets a notification that, hey, this interface went down. They may go and look at these circuits and say, yep, there was a circuit maintenance, or worse yet, you get paged. So just a few of the risks that go along with the things in a manual setup. We all design the WANs, if you have a multi-carrier environment, to be able to withstand a circuit maintenance or a circuit outage. So you very well could be that as you go through the circuit or your day, that, hey, both carriers decide to do circuit maintenance at the same time. Very large geography, that's likely to happen. If you have service users in the middle of the night working in those buildings where the typical maintenances happen, you need to communicate that. That's about good business sense, about how do we know that the services are going to be available. Maybe you get an unnecessary on-call page. That's a quality of life. I know I don't like being woken up in the middle of the night. Even though with kids at home, they wake me up enough, but let's not go ahead and call me because there's a planned maintenance going on. And then reporting inaccuracies. We're all judged from a WAN perspective of what that uptime looks like and be able to provide services to the end customer at those sites. So we want to be able to report on that. And if it's planned, that shouldn't count against you. So there has to be a better way. So this is taking a look at what we can do with automation with these types of things. And again, all open source. It's out there, available today. So we're going to talk about the Nautobot circuit maintenance plugin. So this is a plugin that is built to manage maintenance notifications from circuit providers. Within this, there's a library that's a Python library that's a circuit maintenance parser library. So we are looking at doing parsers. And through this process that we'll see, that will create objects that can be accessed via APIs inside of your environment. That's both REST APIs and GraphQL endpoints. And then look at past and future maintenances that are going on. So be able to say, okay, what are maintenances coming up in the future in the next 7 days, 30 days that we can start to plan for? Or if we need to report on it, you can take a look at these since they're in a data format, you can work with that. And then also you can take action. So go ahead and put these circuits, all the monitoring involved with the circuits into maintenance mode. So that way you don't get called when the event happens and it goes down. And then lastly here, we're going to show how we can actually check to see if there's any overlapping maintenance that goes on with your dual carrier environments, that you're able to say, all right, there's going to be a complete outage. You can take action to call the carrier and say, hey, can you move your maintenance? That way the site doesn't take an outage, or at least to notify the end users of that. And last call out here, this was all started by Christian Adele and part of a hackathon at NTC. So what that looks like from a solution in an automated perspective, the top left is still the same. It's all blue, could be automated. I don't have enough purview on the circuit carriers to say, hey, are they automating this environment? But now on the right side, your customer environment is all automated. So it's moved from a gray to having a color of orange in there. We'll get that email that will come in. So we're still using that same email notification process. Those will be parsed and then created, have Nautobot objects created that can be used. So from there, then the Nautobot job will go ahead and search through all those maintenances. We know about what site each circuit goes to. And then you're able to go ahead and say, all right, we need to take action on that particular site. Beyond that, what's coming soon is Nautobot has a feature called Jobs. We're going to look to enable you to set your business process inside of a Nautobot job that will then be able, as your business process, if that's send a communication or to set the interface on the device and monitoring into maintenance mode, so that way it's all set for you. And then as well with this, we have the capability to have the state of the maintenances be exposed via Prometheus metrics. So this, by having that in a metrics format, you're able to scrape that and be able to get that into your monitoring platforms. So how are we doing this? The first and the best way that we can work with emails is a maintenance notification standard that was proposed at NANOG 60. It was really the idea around providing headers and using iCal to just accompany the emails that are coming in. And then from those headers, we can parse the data very quickly without having to do regex parsing and put these into those objects. And so that's a pretty quick and easy way for the providers to provide value back to the enterprises they serve. So today in the Network to Code library that is available, we've got specific support for EU networks, NTT, Packet Fabric, Telea, and Telstra. And there's a generic BCOP provider around that particular proposal. So if they just support it without anything else, any additional headers, we've got that all set to go. I'm not going to read everything on the right of all the carriers that we support via an actual text parser, but they're out there. We do support, if they don't want to be adding the headers for us, that we can go ahead and still parse that information. So what if my provider does not support BCOP today in the standard? Well, we look at setup email parsing. This isn't necessarily ideal because emails, we all know emails are just text and they can change. We rely heavily on the fact that these need to remain consistent and that we can then parse that and get the data, get your circuit ID, get the start time, get the end time, and be able to put that into an object. Our ideal state, though, that I think we'll hear out there, you'll hear from anybody within automation, is being able to work with APIs. If we can get an API access from the provider that says, here is all the maintenances coming up, that is terrific. We have another library that we have called diffsync. It's a Python library that takes things from system A, system B, and can sync those either one way into or between the two. And so we would look at doing something with those APIs, be able to pull these in as objects, but we're not seeing that as commonplace today. There's a cost that is involved with providing the API endpoint, maintaining that API endpoint, and just being able to keep it there available consistently. So I've got a demo that I'm going to share. We'll jump through here in just a short bit, going through what we're going to cover in this. So first, I'm going to go into a few things within Nautobot that are part of the Nautobot core project and how circuits and providers look within this platform. But then we'll dig into go through email, retrieving the emails, parsing those emails, and then looking for those overlaps. So as we go, we've got our circuits. We'll go to the provider page. So on this page with the providers, you can see all the providers you have, and then their ASN number, the account number, and the number of circuits. From there, going into the detail page, we have that ASN number again, the account number, the portal link that can be documented, and the contacts for it. And we see that there's 46 circuits for this particular setup. So here are all the circuits that we have going through. And then we'll take a look at what a circuit detail looks like. First, we have a status, the provider, the circuit ID. Obviously, the things in blue you can click and move around on. And then on the right side, we've got our terminations. So we have our A side where it's going, the Z side going into provider. But right now, we have no circuit notifications because there hasn't been anything ingested yet. So as part of the Nautobot jobs, we'll get back to the finding sites with overlap, but we'll go first into the update circuit maintenances. Here, we're taken to a page where we can execute one time, or we can set this up in a cron like every hour, every day, every multiple setups there. So as this job runs, this particular one took about 10 seconds to execute. It's going through and reading an IMAP inbox on Gmail. We support both IMAP and Gmail today. And then it ingests all the data. So from there, we can now go back to that circuit detail, and we can see that there's a circuit maintenance upcoming in the next several days here. So we go into that maintenance, and now we have some more details. We have the description, we have the status of it, if it's confirmed. We have an acknowledgement field as well, but then we also have all the circuits. So your notifications will come with multiple circuits. It will list that within the notification of what's all there. From there, we'll go ahead and edit, and we have the acknowledgement field. So that way, through your process, you can acknowledge these circuits and just document, hey, someone is aware of this maintenance upcoming, and then we have that be able to be put on this page. You can also mass edit all these, so we'll just go ahead and put these all into an acknowledged state, and now we have the checkbox on the left instead of the X. Along with this, we have a dashboard. This is a configurable circuits with maintenances in the next 30 days, 7 days, whatever that's configured to. And then devices. Since the circuits connect to devices in Nautobot, we can say what devices are going to be having that maintenance. And then some metrics as well about just the average duration, the future maintenances, and other pieces of data. We'd love to expand that as well. If you have a metric you'd love to see, we'll put that in. So now getting into the job with finding sites with maintenance overlap. We'll come in and we'll run this one time. Have the same options, can run this repeatedly. But now just sort through all those records and check to see if there was any kind of overlap. We show an overlap at LAX, that LAX 1, 2 both have overlapping maintenance from its primary and secondary carrier. And then we go all the way through, and finally we have a log that tells us exactly how many maintenance notifications we've parsed through. And this is only forward-looking. We're not looking at things in the past. So a few of the libraries that we leverage here. First is the circuit maintenance plugin. circuit maintenance parser. This is a parsing library. It's pure Python. You can put this into your own environment with or without this plugin. So we're looking to continue to enhance this library. If there's a library or if there's a carrier that does not support or we don't have support for this and you want to use it, we very much welcome either issues on GitHub that say, hey, here's a maintenance notification from this provider. Can you make a parser for this? Or if you want to provide the feedback of, hey, this is the parser, how it looks, go ahead and open a pull request and contribute back. We very much will help you through the process as well. So take a look there. And then what's shown here is the Nautobot plugin circuit maintenance. So the QR code will take you to that page specifically to be able to go through and get everything installed that we walk through here. And then the link to Nautobot itself, the source of truth database. Excuse me. So what can you do? This is also what I'm here to call to action. Can you help the community? So first and foremost, ask your provider, can they create an API endpoint that we can then go ahead and start to create a connection from that API endpoint and ingest that into these databases or your own databases. Having that endpoint, we're going to be able to do a lot more with that. If they don't support the idea of having an API, which there's some cost involved with that, then ask them to add the iCal proposal of adding headers into their emails. When I was going through setting up this demo, setting up a Python script to send emails, adding the header was very quick. So I would imagine hopefully they're automated their side, on the carrier side. Can you just add headers that come into the inbox? It won't change the behavior of the inbox today, but we'll be able to get some much more rich detail there. And then lastly, if you have a provider that's not listed on the supported list today, bring it on in. Let's see what their maintenance notifications look like. Hopefully it's a template, a one-time thing, and then we can write the parsers that can be there and share that amongst the community. So not everyone has to do everything for every carrier. So with that, we got some questions or? All right. Awesome.
Go for it. Thank you. Hi, Michael Costello, DriveNuts. So you were mentioning the maintenance notification best current operational practices work. As I understand it, that group, as the last time I heard, I think it was 2020, they were trying to redo that work or restart that initiative within the W3C, and I was wondering if you knew anything about that.
Right now, I do not have any information on that. Definitely something that we'll be looking to get in contact with and be fully supportive. Whether from the process perspective, really have that here. What that input for it, we very much welcome any adjustments or anything else to make our community better.
Yeah, if they're still working on it, I think that they would really like to talk to you.
Yes, definitely. Would love to join in with them. So
thank you.
Thank you, Albert.
Hi, Chris Woodfield with Twitter. You noticed you had a long list of carriers for whom there are parsers, which presumably read the body of the email to pick out the necessary information. Is there ever any collaboration with those carriers to write those parsers? Question one. Question two, how often do those parsers have to be updated because the carrier has changed the format of their maintenance notifications?
Those are two great questions. First off, I think this library itself is definitely new in 2022 that we've put out. So we're looking to branch out. Our skin in the game isn't around anything specific with it, and we're looking to enhance the way we manage networks. So definitely this library, hopefully we're here to help show that. And then follow up on that, yes, we have definitely seen this in our clients where, hey, we had everything all great for a particular provider, and nope, now there's some new characters in it. So we're looking at some ways to continue to enhance that as well. I think that just had some conversation yesterday, in fact, around how can we enhance this further to be able, hey, if that template changes, how can we still ingest the important data? Because a calendar timestamp generally looks about the same. A circuit ID from a provider hopefully doesn't change too much. Maybe we change a dash to a period, or there's a space in there, but do what we can to take that information in.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you, and yeah.
Joel Maslak from Netflix. My question is, do you handle in the parser changes to the notification, start and end notices, those types of things?
Indeed, we do. So there's a few other things I didn't show in here, and that's a great follow-on that I know Christian, who's can't join us today, would absolutely, he'd hurt me probably next time I see him. But yeah, so we support the change in notifications. We'll also change the date for that notification, and there's a change log that goes along with that. So we're able, with that maintenance notification, we key in on the ID, or we make an ID out for it, and then we will track that along that, hey, if it got changed the date or if it got canceled, we're able to put that kind of notification in. The follow-up on that as well that I didn't get into this is if you get a notification with a circuit that you don't have in the database, whether it doesn't belong to you or it was disconnected for some time ago, and you're still paying for it. You think you disconnected it in your source of truth, but the carrier's still billing for it, and there's some maintenance. We also alert on that type of thing. So
Thank you.
thank you. Awesome, and thank you for the time.